Right now, a lot of people in the ESO community feel like the game is doomed after all the layoffs. If you look on Reddit, if you look on the ESO forums, if you look at YouTube comments, that's pretty much every post you see. People concerned about what's happening inside of the Elder Scrolls Online. And unfortunately, layoffs are a big part of the gaming industry nowadays, sadly. They're painful, and no matter what the game is, the entire community of that game is really concerned after it happens. But the one part that no one seems to talk about is that ESO is not the first online game, or really any game of any type, to go through this. And historically, downsizing does not mean the death of the game, or sunsetting the game, or even going into maintenance mode. In fact, some of the biggest comeback stories in gaming started with teams smaller than ESO's current staff. When layoffs happen, players assume the worst. And of course, as soon as I heard the news, the first thing that comes to your mind is this the end of the game? Is this where the content stops, updates slow down, and the game is quietly being sunset? Now, I'm not saying that couldn't happen. Microsoft at any point could tell Xbox, hey, we want to pull the plug on this, or this. Microsoft could decide to pull the whole Xbox project altogether. We don't know. But we do know that live service development is a big part of gaming nowadays, and it seems to work for a lot of different games out there. The good thing, ESO has been out for a while, so it's not like it's a brand new MMO. The engine is built, the systems are built, the pipelines are built, the monetization is built, and the cadence is built. The heavy lifting has been done for years now. The ESO team is not a massive studio anymore. It's going to have to be a focused team maintaining systems, delivering content, and making sure they give a lot of feedback to the community. And that's exactly what small teams can excel at. And I think if they do excel at that, Xbox and Microsoft are going to be perfectly fine with letting the Elder Scrolls Online continue for as long as they want. Let's start with some examples here, because I can think of a lot of games, and I'm sure a lot of you have played these over the years, that have had issues. And the Division 2 is the one that always comes to my mind to begin with, because I've played, of course, the original Division and the Division 2. And it was basically on life support for a while. It was to the point where people thought, even if they can get it back up and running, no one's ever going to play it. And that's probably what you're going to hear about ESO. If they take too long to develop everything, everyone's going to quit playing. But that was not the case for the Division 2. Ubisoft shifted resources away, player counts dropped, and the game was barely even being updated. Most people assumed it was done. And I even still play the Division 2 to this day, and I can tell you it is completely different compared to the time when it was just falling apart, or it seemed like it was falling apart. A tiny team back then, which was literally 5 developers, rebuilt the update pipeline, they automated testing, and created a more modular content delivery system. That's 5 people. They pushed out new seasons, new events, new gear, and new missions. And to everyone's surprise, the player counts surged. The game got more full expansions. A micro team is what it's called in the gaming industry. A tiny, tiny team revived a AAA looter shooter. If 5 people can do that, a downsized but still functional ESO team can absolutely maintain content. Another great example, and this is probably the one that a lot of people talk about as one of the biggest redemption arcs in gaming history, No Man's Sky. Hello Games had 12 to 15 people after launch, and they delivered things like base building, vehicles, expeditions, full multiplayer, new biomes, new storylines, new systems, and new worlds. All free, all with 12 to 15 employees. And when people look at this game, or No Man's Sky, just overall, it didn't have that great of a start. And when a small team with a clear, focused vision can do what they did, there's no reason ESO cannot do that with a much larger team, even after all of the layoffs. And finally, probably the one that a lot of you know about, even if you play or do not play MMOs a lot, or other MMOs a lot, Final Fantasy XIV. Its original version failed horribly. Square Enix rebooted the entire game. They didn't throw thousands of developers at it. They didn't build a mega studio. They had a small, tightly focused, coordinated team with a clear direction. The team rebuilt the game from the ground up, delivered consistent updates, and communicated openly with its player base. Now it's one of the biggest MMOs in the world. ESO doesn't even need a reboot. It already has the foundation, but the lesson's kind of the same no matter which game I talked about here that you look at. Small teams can deliver big results when they have a clear path and vision to what they want to do. And I think that is really the only way that ESO fails besides Microsoft or Xbox just wanting to pull the plug completely. If the team is still focused on things they want to do, they can definitely achieve that. Now, will all of the new experimental ideas we've seen them talk about over the last few months happen as often as they want? Probably not. Will we see as much content to begin with? Probably not. It's going to be a bit slower for a little while, but I think the team can definitely get on the same page and deliver really good stuff that the community will enjoy. And studies from this year alone in 2026 have shown that the industry is shifting towards leaner development. And of course, if you paid attention to gaming news for the last several years, this is pretty obvious. 64% of studios with 10 to 49 employees now focus on smaller, more manageable projects. Most gaming studios are cutting back, whether it's after the game is released or before the game even comes out. Pipelines and automation allow smaller teams to deliver more content. And of course, the one thing that a lot of people are kind of concerned about, and that's AI assisted tools. They're being used a lot right now in gaming. And whether you like it or not, these companies are saying that it speeds up the workflow so they don't have to have as many employees. Will it work out in the end with AI assisted tools? We'll have to wait and see. But this necessarily isn't a downgrade. It's kind of the new norm in the gaming industry. And I think the ESO team is probably being told by Xbox, you're going to have to adapt to the same trends that the rest of the industry is already doing. ESO already has enough of a team there to keep the game alive. They have a mature engine, they have an established content pipeline, they have a stable player base. And I know you'll probably hear tons of people say, no one plays ESO anymore. Well, sure, if you look at Steam charts, the player counts may not be insane. But one thing you can, or kind of have to remember, is a lot of players do not play the Elder Scrolls Online on Steam. A lot of people use the Elder Scrolls launcher for the game, so we don't have those player-based numbers. We also have no idea how many people play on console. I can tell you for a fact, I've played the Elder Scrolls Online on console since it was released on console, and no matter what time of day I play, when I play in North America on my PlayStation, there's always people on. There's always people doing things in the game. So there's definitely a big enough player base and a stable player base to keep the game going. Predicting or predictable annual updates will have to be something they adjust, I'm sure, going forward. We already know the devs have said they're kind of readjusting the roadmap that we got earlier this year. Season 1 is complete, so you don't have to worry about Season 1. But anything after Season 1 is going to have to be readjusted. As long as they can give us a predictable update schedule, I think people will be happy with that. And we know they already have a strong monetization system. If people are still enjoying playing the game, people are still going to purchase things, whether it be ESO Plus, the new Battle Pass or the Tome system, or things just from the Crown store. They're still going to buy that and support the game, and that is one way, to keep the game going. If you're still supporting the game, that's going to show ZOS and Microsoft both and Xbox that people are still interested in the Elder Scrolls Online. This whole idea of everyone saying they're going to protest and not buy ESO Plus or Tomes or spend crown or buy crowns, I understand that people are frustrated, but in doing that, we may be hurting the game more than helping it. They also have years of systems that don't need to be reinvented. I know they wanted to do a lot of kind of trial things going forward in ESO. There's a lot of systems they were talking about they're wanting to be extremely experimental. I'm not sure, like I said at the start, that that's going to be a key focus going forward right now. That may be something that comes back into the game later, but I think right now it's going to be about focusing on things that players really want and getting smaller, better updates out instead of reinventing the entire game. And that's exactly what small teams can thrive at. ZeniMax Online Studios has already had several of their community managers over the last few days on the forums and on Reddit saying that they're not sunsetting ESO, they are committed to it. They're not shelving it. They're just having to figure out how to kind of work with what they have now. They're looking at becoming more sustainable. And of course, all of these community managers have also said when they have the plan, they're going to release that to the community. So it shows you, even though it seems like doom and gloom right now, the development team is trying to figure it out. And it's proven that small teams can definitely do it. The realistic future for ESO is probably smaller updates with maybe a little less content than we were expecting with the previous roadmaps that we have seen. I think we'll see more evergreen systems, probably more QOL updates, which is great because there's a lot of things in the game that I think most of us can agree on, still need to be looked at, and it would make a lot of people in the community in general happy with some of those quality of life changes. I think they may look at the events in the game. I don't really think they're going to get rid of them. I've seen people say that they'll have to downsize the events they do. Those events have all been in the game for so long, I don't think that's really going to be a problem. So I still think we'll see the events that we normally have. They may even add a few new ones, who knows? And I think we will see more focused content. And that's the big thing here. If you have something that the team together, every one of them is working on, you may end up with better content than we already have in game right now. And I think it's going to be less of the experimental reinvent the wheel kind of idea and expansions going forward, at least for a while. This is the same evolution other long-running MMOs or games go through. It's not the death of the game. It's not going to be the game being sunset or put in maintenance mode. It's more about stabilization. And the question is, can the team there do that? And will it be enough to make Xbox happy? With the billions of dollars that the Elder Scrolls Online has made since launch, I think it will be. ESO is entering a new phase. It's going to be leaner, more efficient, and more focused. And if history tells us anything, games with smaller teams can absolutely survive and sometimes even thrive. No matter what you're hearing, ESO is not doomed. Until we hear otherwise, I wouldn't really try to worry about that too much. It's adapting. And games that adapt are the ones that last. If you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.